evening and welcome to the Snap UK podcast, the home for all the views, news and opinions about the NFL from this side of the pond. Today we've got a slightly depleted group considering it was one of the most important weekends of the year. No Gary because he's taken a box of tissues and is watching the defensive masterpiece was the 49ers game, and no Griff today because I think he's just sick. He's also headed to
Sick of Bill O'Brien.
Sick of Bill O'Brien, yeah. So joining me is Johnny Frash and Fourth of Inches. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Excellent. Only 4 games to get to. We're going to cover those in the first half. In the second half, we'll talk about some of the teams that got knocked out at the weekend, but also looking forward to the 2 championship games that are going to be on Sunday. So, starting chronological order, we'll start with Jacksonville Jaguars 20, the Kansas City Chiefs 27.
Easy for you to say.
I know, right? They got through it despite Mahomes suffering a high ankle sprain in the first half. Chad Henne taking the realm and leading them on a 90-yard drive to cement the win. Well, not really cement the win in the first half, and then Patrick Mahomes coming back. Jaguars couldn't get over that. I think that was that's an opportunity so close with the star quarterback injured. They could have taken that.
They could have, and they had 99 yards to stop him. And I mean, let's not, for that drive, Henne was perfect. Henne, like I obviously pronouncing it like Penne the pasta, which I don't think is right. But yeah,
it is. It's Chad Henne.
Chad Henne, is it? There you go.
Henne.
Chad Henne.
Chad Hen.
Hen.
Yeah, Henne.
Never thought that bit of name would have problems.
Yeah, no. But no, like I was talking to Gary because I was like, "There's no way Mahomes is going to come back."
He looks seriously.
He looked, yeah. And sometimes, I know it's the divisional game. Sometimes I do feel like it's got to be taken out like the choice has to be taken out of their hands, because I mean I don't know how he's how he is for returning this week. I'm sure he will play.
He's playing. Andy Reid said he's playing,
and I'm sure he'll be doped up to the eyeballs and strapped like a mummy. But I mean, and the thing is, they'll probably still be fine because Patrick Mahomes on one leg is better than 98% of quarterbacks on 2 legs.
He still threw an amazing jump pass off one leg.
Yeah, off
for a touchdown.
The one working leg, and it's a shame because actually he looked before the injury. He's been lately. He's obviously looking a bit more Patrick Mahomesy, scrambling, improvising, really like off the cuff and why he's so exciting. And even though if you take away the stats, like he'd still be your favourite player, but then you add the stats and he's just the best player.
He's got to a point where we were talking about it Sunday, weren't we? Where you almost expect you don't expect, you just accept the brilliance of him. You just he's had 2 5,000-yard passing seasons. There's only one other person who's done that, isn't there? 2, sorry.
Brady and Breeze.
Yeah, Brady and Breeze, and 2 surefire Hall of Famers. Yep. The guy gets the Chiefs. I know, don't get me wrong, he joined a very good Chiefs team who were playoff anyway, but he's kept them in the dance this entire time, and nobody seems to kind of go on this like he's the GOAT. But
he absolutely is.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
he's
the current GOAT. I say, and I guess that's
he's
not really a term, but yeah, he's definitely presumptive MVP. I think he's had such a good season. This is his 5th. They're in their 5th AFC Championship game in a row. Mahomes has never, outside of Super Bowls, Mahomes has never played an away playoff game.
Of course he hasn't. He's
always at the top seed. Always at the top seed. He's always gone for Arrowhead. So, I mean, he's on a great team with great coaching. But up until this year has been the first year they've not had a star wide receiver. Now, their main receiver is Travis Kelce. He's played absolutely brilliant this year.
He's so far ahead in every stat, isn't he?
Yeah, he's averaging 108 yards a game in his last 7 playoff games. Do you want to know how many games Gronk had, postseason games Gronk had with 100 yards receiving?
3?
One
Wow.
game. So yeah, I mean, we talk about Gronk probably being one of the best tight ends ever. Certainly one of the best, but Kelsey, when it comes to stats, is absolutely demolishing him in playoff games.
He's going to be the greatest tight end of all time when he retires. I mean, other than Super Bowl wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as well, give him time as well. He's still got another couple of years in him.
Yeah, I think so.
And he's incredible. But as well, like the cast around him, like you know, I've been a huge fan of Pacheco this year, and he just gets like he's a nasty motherfucker,
physical runner.
He's gonna run through you, and that is what they've needed for years.
And it especially helped. Obviously, when Mahomes went out, that's when they lent on the run. Pacheco had 12 carries for 95 yards. That's 8 yards a carry. But the whole running game was 4.8 yards per carry. Just chewing up what is a decent defense for Jacksonville.
And that is the difference between them and the Bills.
Yes.
They have the ability to adapt.
Yeah. I think they've got the personnel to adapt. I think they've also got the quality and offensive coaching to adapt as well. I mean, we'll come on to it in the Bills, but I think there's one big personality missing from the Bills, and he was on the Giants sideline on Sunday.
Yeah.
Saturday, sorry.
Well, I mean, they're doing this as well. You look at the Chiefs sideline. Yeah, the enemy is there. It's also Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
Like, you can try your hand at head coaching and then move back and still be, still be a good sort of positional coach. Yeah.
I mean, look, Steve can't remember. Spagnuolo, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, was a head coach and has come back and is doing a fantastic piece of work there.
They really spread it out, like, Tony, Schuster, Noah Gray. I mean, who the fleck is Noah Gray? Valdez Scantling got the.
You can't call Pacheco a bad motherfucker.
Can.
And then go like flicker.
Yeah, maybe he's just feeling guilty that he swore so early on in the podcast.
Yeah.
Not that anyone should feel guilty about that in this podcast.
I didn't think I did say flicker. I did.
He just mispronounced fucker.
Yeah. But yeah, like as well, like the Tony that left the Giants this year I mean, he had that one game where he like seemingly got 14 receptions, 300 yards, and a bajillion touchdowns, and then the rest of the time injured.
Yeah.
And then he's been great for Kansas. I mean, I'm absolutely gutted.
I don't know. I'd hazard a guess that if Tony had been drafted within the Dable regime, it might be a different story. I think he was just pissed off there, and that attitude probably hasn't hurt. And hopefully, being in a team like the Chiefs, he knows he's not top dog. He knows he's got a good chance of winning pretty much every match he plays in, and that maybe that kind of coaching then calmed him down. But anyway,
yeah.
Jacksonville. I think I put on Twitter, like, if you're a Jags fan, obviously kind of disappointed you missed a good potential opportunity, but I think you look back on the 2022 season with fondness and then with anticipation for 2023, because it's been an amazing season for them.
It bodes well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Peterson has come in and had a slow start, turned this team around. If they can keep adding, so we mentioned last week that the offense sort of is all right already, and they're adding Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Which it may take him a while, but he's still a young kid.
Forgive the pun. He's worth a gamble, isn't he?
Yeah. He's had 2 years off, which can be you can either have 2 years off and you're Josh Gordon. Or you could be Michael Thomas, when he came back this season, was actually decent before he got injured.
Well, it just seems he was the only thing that was stopping him coming on the pitch was not wanting to play for the Saints.
Well, yeah, exactly. But
I wouldn't blame him this season.
Yeah. It's if they can add to the defense, really when it comes down to it, like they were just short this season. it doesn't. It's no harm to be short against the Chiefs, but it was still a one-legged Mahomes and Chad Henne and
Henny. I googled it.
as it say. But yeah, like these guys, Saxonville would have had a bit more success with them.
This offense with the Saxonville defense.
Oh yeah.
That'd be amazing. I mean, they can rebuild. They've got cap space. Like you say, they've got Calvin Ridley coming in. Yeah, they've got Trevor Lawrence, and Etienne is still there under contract for another 3 years potentially.
I think you have to pronounce the name really annoying.
Etienne. I think it is Etienne rather than Etienne.
It is, yeah.
The one, they haven't got that many free agents coming off this year. The one free agent caught my eye was Marvin Jones. I think he'd be good to keep, but not essential.
Yeah.
From a leadership point of view within that locker room.
When you need a touchdown out of nowhere, he's always had that ability to turn up. Yeah. I mean, back to his Detroit days.
If he can take a decent deal, he obviously was a leader under the previous regime. But
even Christian Kirk's had a decent season.
Yeah.
I know we all laughed when they signed him for what was quite a lot of money for wide receivers, but he's proved effective. Maybe not every single week, but between Jones, Kirk, and Zay Jones, Marvin Jones and Zay Jones, there's not what we'd say as a number one receiver there, but that's a good cast.
It's a good cast with with Ridley to come in and potentially be that number one.
Yeah,
and Ingram has. What a gamble that's been. I don't think he's a free agent, but it seems like after a few years treading water in New York, it's time for him to. I think he might have found a home.
Yeah,
if they can find a friendly deal.
Also, like another year of Trevor Lawrence working with a coach who knows how to coach an NFL team, but also an NFL quarterback as well.
Yeah, it's huge.
Makes a huge difference.
Jamal Agnew as well, like as a return guy, was so dangerous. He gives them, you could tell that basically it was we need to kick this out for a touchback because he was causing havoc. Like every time he got the ball, they were starting in decent positions. Sometimes in the Kansas half already, and it does help. He's been brilliant.
The biggest thing the Jags have is confidence.
Yeah.
Which firstly they should. The way the league works, you get 2 number 1 picks. You should improve, but actually. And also, the other thing that helps me is that division absolutely sucks the big one.
There's a lot of change to occurring in that division. You think about where the Texans are, where the Colts are, both looking for new head coaches. I'd say neither have a quarterback at the moment. You'd probably label Tennessee in terms of the quarterback dilemma, for want of a better word, because I don't think Tannehill will be there next season.
No.
And they need a whole overhaul of their offense. So yeah, it bodes well for Jacksonville going into 2023. Right, sorry guys, we'll go on to Saturday night and an absolute drubbing by the Philadelphia Eagles, 38 to your New York Giants 7.
Just happy to be at the dance.
Yeah, and similar to the Jaguars, we said this was going to be a tough year for the Giants at the beginning of the year. 9-7-1. Get into a divisional game, losing to one of your division opponents who do seem to be back to their best after a tricky December. I don't think you can complain too much. I think it's almost like Jags. It's all right, we had our time at the dance, great season. Let's look forward to next year.
Yeah, just to be able to think on divisional championship weekend, I'm staying up this week to watch the Giants. It's just great. Luckily, I fell asleep before it really got away from us because, of course, it's 2 a.m. But for us, this is going to be, I guess, quite Giants heavy. there's so much there. I thought we were going to have two years of hurt, and we still might have hurt because we've still got lots to do. We have salary cap.
We've got
space.
42, nearly 45, sorry,
We don't have
43 million.
Yeah, but we don't have a quarterback, and that doesn't include Saquon, who we'd like to re-sign. There are things, there's Nick Gates.
We can keep our quarterback and running back.
Nick Gates, Feliciano from that offensive line, which, when all is fit, is decent. There's big players there. Leonard Williams has been great this season, but he's on $18 million. And it's when you've got a quarterback to side and who's turned, a bloke who's Saquon has returned to Saquon, the player that we thought he would be. They're going to need money.
I think when you've also got, in terms of defensive tackle, where Dexter Lawrence had such a good season.
Sexy Dexy.
Yeah.
It makes paying, Leonard Williams that much harder to swallow to an extent. You could make that saving, maybe get some trade value for Williams. Had a good season, but getting that off your books and using that investment elsewhere is a potential.
We'll save $7 million in cap when we get rid of Kenny Golladay as well, because that is going to happen.
It has to go.
It's just I was really excited when he joined, because I thought, the talent's there, and it turns out, it was just sadly his knees have left the building, but Adoree Jackson, another decision to make, but for the team, the thing is, those decisions have to be made, and I trust the people making the decisions now. Schoen and Daboll have been a breath of fresh air. Whether Wink will leave if he gets a head coaching position. There aren't as many head coaching positions maybe as we assumed there would be.
I think there's more fashionable coordinators.
And I hope we keep him. But there's a lot of bad organisations out there as well who have probably gone. We've had a attacking one. Let's go get defensive one. Whatever.
Yeah,
So
I think the fashion definitely seems to be going offensive rather than defense. I think that then favours you. And like you say, D'Amico Ryans of the 49ers seems to be interviewing with everyone.
Yeah.
Well, stealing the coordinator off the 49ers is the thing to do every season, isn't it?
Seems to be that way, yeah. Luckily, one goes and another one pops up, and it seems to be little change.
Decent organisations can put up with that.
Absolutely.
The Rams have done it for years, until this year when he'll keep all his coordinators.
But you can see the difference it makes in terms of, you saw when Pedersen was at the Eagles, when you lost, you lost his coordinator. That team just strangely lost their coordination.
Yeah,
I think there are other issues there as well.
I think
front office and also Carson Wentz didn't help. But let's talk about the Eagles. They did put 38 points on what is a decent New York Giants defense. Jalen Hurts looked back to being fully fit. I don't feel like watching the highlights because I didn't stay up to 2 a.m. in the morning.
Any opportunity not to watch Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts.
exactly. But when we did watch him, it didn't look like he was playing injured. It didn't look like he was hampered by the dislocated shoulder. Kenneth gained well. Boston Scott got his obligatory touchdown against the Giants. And the receivers were excellent again.
Yeah,
It's annoying, isn't it?
They're just a thoroughly excellent
Yeah.
organisation at the moment.
They're so well built. You think about like Hassan Reddick, who's had a great season, and they're paying him next to nothing.
He was at the Cardinals, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And just a very underrated player.
Yeah.
Team of underrated players. Like Dallas Goedert's one of the best tight ends going.
Yeah, at least one Dallas is making it to a championship game.
Hey. But they're getting big, like results from everyone. Like all their cornerbacks have like multiple interception, like 5 or 6 interceptions this season. It pains me to say it as a Giants fan. It helps that this was my pick early on, but it still hurts. And as well, like compared to other Eagles teams, like even the one that won the Super Bowl, it helped that they were playing against the evil empire with Nick Foles as their backup quarterback. Because
it's a good story.
The rest of it, Alshon Jeffrey, you're like, oh, he's just shit, isn't he? Aguilar, like Wentz having an MVP season, you're like, but he's a dick.
It felt like protest radio, like protest music, like just anything other than New England.
Yeah. And this year, like, I quite like they're quite a likable team, and as well, like they do get away with dark arts because the
best teams do.
They held Thibodeau every play.
I mean, Thibodeau went losing his mind at the holding, and but that's what the best teams do. They know how to get. Like, we mentioned last week about how brilliant they are at the quarterback sneak because they interpreted the rules in a way that basically means they cheat, and but they get away with it, and it's fine, and they win.
But there's a reason Bill Belichick was on top for 20 years.
Exactly,
absolutely right. Yeah, even when they had one play where they looked like there was going to be a quarterback sneak, you'd put your house on it, and then they flipped it around, and it was a run.
The change they've gone on from this team that we thought, like, who the fuck is Nick Sirianni?
His first press conference was so bad.
It was so bad. It was equal to the Gase one, where he looked completely like shell shocked and seemingly like he was going out there under duress.
It was. I mean, it was at that point where I thought the Eagles were going down the Texans route of just like absolutely imploding. They'd got rid of Doug Peterson, who was Super Bowl winning head coach. There was turmoil between them and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz left. They hire this nobody, and you're like, what are you doing? But hands up, I was wrong. Fair play. They've got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it?
Kills me.
And even my friend Jamie, I went to see him at the weekend. He's a Cowboys fan.
It has to be.
Go ahead.
And he was like, "There's Eagle," he's like, "What do you think of the Eagles?" I was like, "I get this sneaky feeling I have all year. I think they're going to win." And he was like, "Yeah, really annoys me because I prefer them to the Cowboys at the moment because the Cowboys are quite unlikable."
So frustrating.
And let's see because it sets up an interesting
no spoiler alert.
the championship game this weekend.
Right, let's move on to Sunday. Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for us. Cincinnati Bengals 27, the Buffalo Bills 10. I don't know what Buffalo Bills team showed up, but it wasn't the one I've come to know and love over the last couple of years.
It was a team of both teams had playoff versions of them turn up.
Yeah. Joe Burrow, absolutely incredible. First 2 drives, it was 9 for 9 for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Absolutely impeccable. We talked about Mahomes being brilliant, and he absolutely is, and he'll God willing, win the MVP vote this year. But if it was based on playoffs over the last couple of games and the end of the season, Joe Burrow's just been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing against Burrow is the Bengals themselves had a slow start to the year. So, like in a year when Mahomes got 5,000 yards, Burrow has had a really good year, but it wasn't possibly as explosive as last year, but he's brilliant. He is absolutely astounding. I've gone big on Herbert for a few years, and now left disappointed. I think Burrow might be the only pretender to Mahomes' crown as best quarterback in the division because he is so cool. And behind that offensive line, which is shit now.
I mean,
it's
the
patchwork.
The game plan was brilliant in terms of like just get the ball out quickly. Don't get pressure. I mean, the Bills' pressure is non-existent anyway, but it worked. They only sacked him once. Like, compare that to this time last year where he was getting sacked about 20 times a game. It's incredible.
The one thing that the Bengals have done is they've really kind of bought into Joe Burrow.
Mm.
And, you know, when you look at when you take Herbert, what could you say is Herbert's in the Chargers? Whereas they bought in Burrow's favourite receiver.
Yeah.
They've let him recover how he wanted to recover coming into this season. They've given him a lot of rope to hang himself with, and he's
not done hung himself.
He's swinging that rope around.
Oh, he's slinging dick. He is an incredible, and
I just think a lot of people wanted them to not do well coming into the season before. When you saw like Jamar Chase can't catch this ball because it's got different markings on it.
Yeah, it was very. I think there was the expectation that the Bengals would just be the Bengals. There was a lot of question marks over Zach Taylor. You know, going into the playoffs, they were not the unknowns, but they weren't the pick of. No one expected them to get to the Super Bowl. And I think coming into this year, I think that everyone was expecting them to, take a step backwards. I think if anything, they're better than they were last year.
Yeah, you can seriously, because all over the ball, like defensively, they're still making big plays. They'll be giving Allen nightmares.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's won as many playoff games as all the other Bengals quarterbacks combined.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It's in his third year.
Tyson's won 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can put to bed the argument that Zach Taylor got lucky. I think actually now we have to admit, and not even just admit, because admit seems like we're doing under duress. We have to acknowledge that Zach Taylor is a decent head coach. He has got this ramshackle organization. Mm-hmm. You know that they got the big call right a few years ago. They got Burrow. They've the back office have brought in players to accentuate him. They've got the defense right. They have added to it. They've got the line right. Admittedly, it's not their fault. They get injured, but their offensive linemen, they get injured in the season. Yeah. It's what happens. And they looked for all the thing about Sean McDermott gets a lot of praise. He was absolutely outcoached this weekend.
He looked like he was shell shocked on the side. He got the Bengals adapted to the situation in front of them. They changed how they played because of the offensive line in terms of getting that ball out quickly. And sure, Burrow wants to go for 50 yards lobs every time to Jamar Chase, and it would probably work if he had that much time in the pocket. The Bills just looked devoid of ideas, devoid of a running game. Stephon Diggs had 4 catches for all of 35 yards, and he was pissed off at the end.
He looked
so.
Yeah, he was.
It was a bad game for everyone. I can't pick anyone in the Bills team that had an all right game. I thought everyone just played really badly. They just didn't adjust at all.
I like what Diggs came out on Twitter and said afterwards.
Absolutely.
You expect me to be happy we lost?
I don't mind it. I don't mind. I'd rather see a bloke like that emotional over a loss, than some, like Mac Jones having just a hissy fit because the play calls aren't correct for him. This is the playoffs. This fucking matters. This is Diggs has moved to Buffalo to win.
Yeah.
He's earning a lot of money, and he's got 30-something yards.
But when the amount you're penalised is almost double than your best receiver,
you
fucked it up.
Yeah, it's bad coaching. I think, I said it earlier, the thing missing from the Bills this year has been Dable.
Really
I
has.
don't think they've got the right offensive coach in place. Maybe it will come good next year in terms of like having another year of experience under his belt. But if I was McDermott, I'd be seriously thinking about bringing in a new offensive coordinator.
If I was,
Ken Dorsey has to.
If I was ownership, I'd look at, is McDermott the right guy anymore? They've been to the playoffs 5 times in 6 seasons.
It's a really fair point. Like,
But surely, if you've got a team that you keep building and you keep adding pieces to, and they keep getting to the playoffs,
but they can't get over the hump.
you'd expect them to at least get to a Super Bowl.
And yeah,
Not win a Super Bowl, at least get to one.
I think, when you look at other teams that have been like that, example springs to mind are the Bucks with under Tony Dungy. They got to the playoffs time and time again. Couldn't get over that hump. Bring John Gruden in, suddenly everything clicks. They go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but also they do have back office issues as well, because, like you say, they're paying a lot of people a lot of money this off season.
Yeah.
And I think Tremaine Edmonds might be out. Is free agent, who is better than the linebackers they've got signed up.
You look at the free agent. I mean, Jordan Poyer, Roger Saffold, Tremaine Edmonds, Jordan Phillips, AJ Klein gets game time.
But they're not big players, but they're effective players, and that's the difference.
Yeah, even Case Keenum is a free agent this year, so who's going to back up Josh Allen when he eventually gets injured? I think we'll come on to rebuilding, but I think if you're the Bills, you look at last year, you're 13 seconds away from beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. This is a step backwards. Yeah,
it really is. Yeah. It sort of summed up their game when Poyer and White collided, and I think took Poyer out of the game in a sort of desperate but ramshackle attempt to make a play and failed. It's just. I mean, they've got to the divisional round game. I think for all but 3 of the teams in the NFL this year, that's a pretty decent season. What you expect. But for the Bills, it just isn't good enough.
For the Bills, it was Super Bowl. At least get there, like you said.
But they need to stop this reliance on Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Josh Allen had 8 runs.
They do remind me a bit of like the Seahawks when after the Legion of Boom had gone. And they were sort of had a lot of players on 2 high contracts and a quarterback who was asked to do too much.
Yeah,
and you look at Russell Wilson now, and that is what they could be heading down, because he's on a long contract and they are having very scant regard for his body in their play call, because he's not protected and he's having to rush because
no one else will.
No one else will. And what they do with the draft this year, I don't know, because they have quite a few big requirements.
Yeah,
I think the scary thing is, because of where they get to, they can't draft that well either.
No, they might. I mean, they might have to make some moves, but we'll chat about that in the second half. But
yeah.
Final game of the weekend, the Dallas Cowboys 12, the San Francisco 49ers 19. Kyle Shanahan leads the 49ers into their 3rd championship game in 4 years. Brock Purdy becomes only the 2nd rookie quarterback to win multiple playoff games in his rookie season. Anyone name the other 2?
Ben Roethlisberger.
No, not his rookie year. Oh, sorry, it's a championship game.
Rookie
year. There are 2 others that have done it. One was with the Jets. He did it.
Chad Pennington?
Namath?
No. Much more recent.
Sanchez?
Yep, Sanchez.
Jesus.
Wow.
The other one is still currently playing. Just about.
Just Rodgers? No.
Joe Flacco.
Oh, Joe Flacco, of course.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Fair enough.
There we go.
Yep.
This was a game of attrition.
Yeah.
And a game of defense, and a game that Kyle Shanahan came out on top because he's better at managing the situation than Mike McCarthy, quite frankly.
Busted.
Yeah. I watched most of it. I caught up the rest of it after falling asleep on the couch. It was Sunday night. I was pretty tired.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott. Dak. He now has as many playoff wins as Brock Purdy.
Is he?
I love that.
Can we compare him to Bortles? How many? Because I think they might be equal
Bortles
now.
has got the same amount, yeah.
Yeah, I think they might be equal now because Dak at least got one.
Dak's not had
The
2
year
games in a
before.
row where he's not thrown an interception in about 2 years.
Oh, mate.
He just...
They didn't. It's not that they needed. What they needed for him was just to be better than Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
And he couldn't manage it.
I think that's literally what it is, because I think the Cowboys' defense is brilliant. They
Yeah.
played hard. They played really well. They soaked up a lot of the 49ers running game. Like McCaffrey was a bit banged up. He didn't have the usual game. I think even on a lot of the creative plays that Shanahan put in place, the sweeps, the misdirections, they dealt with that really well. They gave the offense a chance, but the offense just... I mean, especially when Pollard went out injured, it just doesn't work. I think there's too much now on the Cowboys roster that it's just not good enough. Like Dalton Schultz made a couple of really stupid mistakes at the end of the game, which cost them the chance to throw a Hail Mary. That God knows what's going on with that final play of the game. Like,
I mean,
it was
can
comical.
I can understand because just there's a point where you just go, just get skill players on because they had the lineman in front. You look at it, I get the feeling they were supposed to throw to Ty, who had the 2 linemen in front of him, block. But they didn't expect the best defense in the fucking league to rush him.
I think
they just destroyed poor Zeke.
I was listening to Pro Football Talk yesterday, and Mike Florio, he said he saw this on Twitter. He can't remember where it came from, but he said it was like that scene in Indiana Jones where the guy's doing all that sword wielding bullshit and it's looking really impressive, and then Indiana Jones just pulls out a gun and shoots him. And I was like, that's exactly what happened. They tried to do lots of trickery, and the first instant, Jimmy Ward just comes in and absolutely obliterates the receiver.
Yeah.
And that kind of summed up the game, I feel like. They just didn't do enough on offense, didn't do enough in the running game. Dak threw 2 interceptions, which they're both on Dak.
Yeah.
Like the first one was underthrown. I don't know where he was going for, and the second one, Jimmy Ward should have intercepted it. In the end, it went to Fred Warner, who had an amazing game as well.
He was great, but my heart doesn't bleed because
Because it's the Cowboys.
I mean, let's not kid. But I get the feeling this was their window.
Yeah.
This season, like they've had 2 12-win seasons in a row now. Both of them ended by the 49ers.
Yeah.
Both of them ended in comical scenes. You remember the last year when they couldn't
they couldn't spot the ball.
Couldn't spot the ball.
They didn't give the ball back to the referee.
Exactly. This year by thinking, remember that play the Colts did against the things? Let's do that. Like, each year, Zeke gets older. Yep. Pollard is now going to have to come back from a broken leg and a high ankle. That is.
He's also a free agent.
He's a free agent.
Oh God.
It's all just a bit. Will the defensive coordinator be around, who has made this team quite formidable and able to forgive the offense, who are not as formidable?
He could come into Buffalo and lose big games for them.
I mean, Dan Quinn's had interviews. He's got head coaching experience. He's taken a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's to me, like if I know Peyton is out there, and I think Quinn is just such a cert to go.
But we said that last year.
I know.
My biggest takeaway from this game, you know how we said, like, sometimes you just have to sit back and go, actually, like, Mahomes, you forget, this guy's stats are phenomenal. I sat back and looked at the Niners roster. One of the best running backs in the league. The best left tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3 tight end in the league.
Yep.
That's an awesome juggling catch as well.
Brilliant, yeah.
So,
I think as well, like, it's not just a basically wide receiver.
He's not a receiver, not just a receiver.
No, he enjoys getting
blocking.
he enjoys blocking. Like, he's a proper, football guy.
yeah, the best linebacker in the league, and Fred Warner.
Yeah,
One of.
Probably, yeah.
You've got Nick Bosa, who's probably one of the best edge rushers in the league.
Probably. Well,
Up there with,
Max Crosby.
And
then you've got, but you look at the wideouts. You've got
Debo is
the best
so
gadget
exciting.
player in the league.
yeah.
Ayuk's the second
it's-
best gadget player in the league.
It's insulting to call Debo a gadget player because of what he does. For a team whose biggest issue was the quarterback kept getting injured, they've created a quarterback-proof scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that shows that with Brock Purdy. I mean, look, anybody who gets drafted isn't a bad player.
It's true. Top 1% in the college game, effectively.
Yeah. So this guy coming in and having essentially top 5 pieces everywhere else, just come in and sling it.
Yeah, I think I read an interview with Matt Campbell, who's the coach of Iowa, who Brock Purdy played for, and he goes, he had to come into Iowa and fight for that position. He got it. He won a lot of games with talent that wasn't as good as what he's got with the 49ers now. Now, naturally so, because it's a college program and not one of the more fashionable ones. Brock Purdy's used to playing. He's used to fighting. He's used to, we said he started for Iowa for 4 years. That's game experience, which other quarterbacks that are coming into the league don't have. Trey Lance, for example.
You look at that draft class. There were a lot of them were very inexperienced and young, and it has shown. Whereas Purdy had 4 years. He's not a 21-year-old. He's not Darnold. And I think as well it helps. He's not an idiot, and I think he's, from the sounds of it, diligent and whatever. And he's just cool.
Recognises the position he's in.
Yeah,
he's just taking advantage of it.
He's a Shanahan player.
Yeah,
I mean, I do. I have the feeling that at some point he's going to have not a shocking game, but someone's going to, there's someone. The difference between winning and losing might be a Brock Purdy thing. We haven't found that yet.
This was the best defense he's played. This is probably the best team, but also the best defense he's played against so far in his relatively young career. 19 for 29, 214 yards. All right, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah.
Doesn't give the ball away.
That is all you need.
Yeah.
I think the other thing to bear in mind with this, and again, it's based on the roster strength of the Niners. This isn't like Mike fucking White coming in for the Jets and scoring 340 yards and 3 touchdowns, because nobody had any idea who he was. You can get tape on this guy, but you still got to counterbalance the fact that you've got Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk,
and a creative coach.
A creative coach, and probably one of the best defenses going.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of credit to Kyle Shanahan, but not a lot of credit goes to John Lynch on this. And
it should.
And it absolutely should. I mean, I'd say that there's probably it's not the same balance of power that a lot of GM coaches have. I think it's more of a partnership between the two of them, but it's worked so well. They came in together. John Lynch was effectively a Kyle Shanahan hire. It was Shanahan who was hired first. Then they went out to get the GM that would work with Shanahan, and they built a roster which, to your point, is fucking brilliant. Strength and depth all over the place.
And they just have the ability to just get players on board with it quickly.
Yeah.
You seem to just be able to get safeties and cornerbacks out of bloody nowhere and make them look fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the safety who's your Pro Bowl safety?
Talanoa Hufanga, who is incredible.
Yeah. Who?
Talanoa Hufanga.
Exactly. Who?
I mean, he's the next Troy Polamalu, but he had one safety blitz and he just timed it to perfection. He didn't actually get to. It wasn't a sack, I don't think, but he just put pressure on Dak, and he flies all over the field. Him and Fred Warner, like, you can't throw down the middle.
No. And they are. I was I was saying earlier before we recorded, for me it feels a real shame that the NFC Championship game isn't the Super Bowl.
Yeah. If you could, I'd love to see Eagles 49ers in a neutral venue without braying Eagles fans or,
I guess it'd be lovely to watch Eagles Niners with Rihanna at half time. I can't think of a better experience.
All right, so before we start talking about that, let's take a quick break and we're back with a preview of the championship games. Welcome back to part 2. Let's kick things off by saying that the Eagles have been playing football for 90 years, and on Sunday it's the first time they've beaten the same team 3 times in one season.
Oh, fucking hell.
I know it doesn't happen all that often.
No.
Still one of those things.
Impressive.
Yep. Right, so we're going to kick off the second half previewing the 2 championship games. We'll, again, similar to the first half, let's kick off in chronological order. 49ers at Eagles in the NFC Championship game. You said this was the one that you probably wanted to see as a Super Bowl. Well, that's never going to happen, I'm afraid. Rihanna might be there, but she's not performing. I think this could be a classic. It could be absolutely brutal.
I think this might be more of the same for the 49ers. Yeah. I think it's going to be a proper bruising meet-up. I think that the question for the Eagles is, can Jalen Hurts be better than Dak Prescott?
I will say Dak had a couple of runs.
Sorry, but what kind of question is that?
I mean, we know he can. Dak did have a couple of runs, which kind of I got pretty frustrated at that we couldn't stop.
That's stupidly. Would you rather be given an ice cream or stabbed?
but we said what the Cowboys needed was Dak Prescott to be as good as Brock Purdy, and he wasn't. He was awful. He was in this sort of roller coaster of Dak Prescott seasons. He was the bad Dak that we've seen. Bad Dak that we've seen too much, or not enough, depending on your slant on the Cowboys. I think it's going to be utterly fascinating. It may not. I don't think it'll be high scoring. It's a championship game between 2 teams who can give it, and basically the 2 best offenses in the league this season. I can't wait. I can't wait.
There's lots made of the Philadelphia running game, and rightly so. But that stems from Jalen Hurts. I think the 49ers are probably one of those teams that could stop the running game.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, as good as, I don't think Gainwell and Boston Scott are great running backs. I don't think Miles Sanders is a great running back. The threat is obviously Jalen Hurts. They're able to stop the running game. They're able to put pressure on him. And he's got 2 amazing wide receivers. And I think they're the two things that I think will win it for the Eagles. If he can find them consistently enough with enough accuracy, I think the Eagles win. If the 49ers can get so much pressure on Jalen Hurts that he reverts back to 2021 Jalen Hurts, I think that puts the 49ers in a fantastic position to win the game if they can overcome the defense.
Yeah.
This feels like a 10-7, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, doesn't
it? It really does.
It's going to be a muff punt reception that's going to
12-9.
Yeah.
Like Gould gets MVP. I like, and that's the best. That is what is the best. Like, I normally think Divisional Weekend is actually the best weekend. Yeah. Actually, this week,
it's tense.
It was tense, but there were 2. Like, the fact that the Giants there, you just knew that the Eagles were going to beat them. A lot of the only game that I couldn't predict was Bills Bengals, and everything else was a little bit how I expected it. I'm hoping I can't call this one, and that's great. It is brilliant. I don't know how much home field advantage we'll have. but I think it will. And because of that, I think Eagles maybe by 3.
Yeah,
but
I don't think it's far.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it, and hopefully we'll have Gary with us as well, because, I don't think we've given the 49ers enough credit this year for being really, really fun to watch on both sides. Like defensively, like they are bruising, they are brutal, but they as well. Like Fred Warner, he's just brilliant to watch. The run game is fantastic. Debo is fun. Ayuk is class. Like Kittle, I mean, it's brilliant. But
there's matches on the Philadelphia side. They've got pass rushers. They're the team with the most sacks this season. They've got an electric quarterback who's playing really, really well. Pains me to say that. They've got 2 amazing wide receivers. Dallas Goedert, who we mentioned earlier, has had a really good couple of games. He's a threat. On the defensive side, they've got cornerbacks. They've got safeties.
Yeah.
Like they're probably a bit weaker in the linebacker area, which could favour the 49ers in terms of that run game. But that's not to say there's not players there who would get into a lot of other teams.
Is Robert Quinn fit?
I believe so. He's not on the current injury report.
Because you forget he's there, don't you?
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the only players on the Eagles injury report at the moment are AJ Brown, who's questionable, but I think that's just to hold out after a game.
Here's your cortisone, Mr. Brown. Yeah. Get out there.
Exactly. And the cornerback Avonte Maddox, who's also questionable.
But who's the third on the depth chart?
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to this game.
No, I think it's fun as long as you're not involved.
It's a great game for the neutral, and I can absolutely see why a neutral would be looking forward to it. I'm incredibly nervous about this game. I don't think the 49ers are going to win. I think the Eagles will overcome them.
I'm going for the 49ers because I don't want John's Super Bowl prediction to win.
Don't be wrong. I want the 49ers to win. I think this might be a step too far.
I was going to take you for a burger with the money I won from Paddy Power when the Eagles won, but I won't now. So, fuck you.
You're still taking me for the burger.
Yeah, probably.
I presume you're going for the Eagles, John, or
I'm going for the Eagles. I think it'll be really tight. Eagles by 3. Yeah. But I literally cannot wait. I think it's going to be brilliant. It isn't going to be a rip roaring like last year's it's been a year since the Bills Chiefs game, when that was just touchdown at the end. I don't think this is going to be like that at all. This is going to be
2 defenses of 2.
It's going to be tense. It's going to be disgusting, and I'm glad my team isn't involved.
It's gonna be one of those games that you probably don't want to show to someone who's only just getting into the NFL.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you remember that poor lad who watched the Rams
Patriots Super Bowl?
Just 3 hours of it's not usually this bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be one for the purists because there is going to be a lot of defensive football where people are going to get hit.
Yeah. I mean, and if I'm wrong and it's the 49ers, hopefully they take the money that they've made from this win and give it to Leeds United to buy a left back. That's my only hope if the 49ers do win.
I don't like that you win either way here.
Yeah,
I know, it's great, isn't it?
Right. Let's move on to AFC. Cincinnati Bengals at Kansas City Chiefs. That is for us going to be an 11:30 p.m. kickoff.
One step too far for Cincinnati.
Oh, do you think?
Yes, because I said the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Okay, so we're just backing our picks here.
The thing I'd say as well with the Chiefs is
we can fit the narrative to basically be like, I was right all along.
Hang on, this is a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl.
Oh, God, that's going to be awful to watch. I really can't see a weakness in this Kansas team.
I can see one.
Yeah, it's his ankle.
It's Mahomes' ankle.
You can just. It's amazing what you can do with modern medicine. So you can play one-footed, so I'm not bothered.
I do think that the defense in Cincinnati can get at Mahomes, especially now. I think they can get him anyway. Now he's hobbling. I do worry, but do you know what? I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to go with the I think it'll be an Eagles-Bengals.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
Try and make it seem tactical, but that's just basically doing what I did. You don't want my team to win.
It's not that. Do you know what? I'm never going to say I don't want to watch the Chiefs because they are fun as fuck.
Yeah.
And either team who makes it through, I think, will lose to the NFC team anyway.
Just get beaten up.
Because I think the Eagles or the 49ers are just too physical. And they can, I think, but, that's for another week. But I just think the Bengals, if Mahomes was fit, I would be I'd be more inclined. But Burrow is just too cool, and I think he'll do enough to get them through.
I see Travis Kelce wearing Bengals defenders as coats.
Well, the lack of an O-line is my concern for the Bengals because they were able to get around it against the Bills, but Chris Jones lining up against their reserve guard would worry me. Even Karlaftis, if he's able to get at Burrow, I think. But yeah, I don't care in the nicest possible way. Either way, I think we see a great team going into the Super Bowl. But I do get the feeling it will be the Bengals this time. I think they will. I think they might be the new Bills, I think like the 90s Bills.
The Bengals had their fun last year. And I think the difference for me for the Chiefs this year is Pacheco.
That does help.
Pacheco.
That fella, yeah. Just a big raw bone son of a bitch running through the middle.
I think given the injury to Mahomes or the presumed injury, that he's not, even if he plays this game, he's not going to be 100%. That's fair to say. It puts more pressure on the short passing game, but also puts more pressure on Pacheco and Jet McKinnon as well to have big games. I think they're more than capable of doing that. I think the Chiefs' offensive line is good, better than it has been. I think you think the last time that Mahomes was a bit crocked going into a big game was that Super Bowl against Tampa where he was injured and his offensive line was absolutely wrecked as well. That's not the case this time. The Bengals' defense, I think, is better than it was last year. This is a coin toss. I can't decide because these are two teams. I think this is the next. We talk a lot about what's going to be in the AFC. What's going to be the next Brady versus Manning? It's this.
This is
We built it up as being it's going to be Mahomes against Allen for the next 10 years. I think it's this.
I think these are the two guys.
Yeah.
The window in Buffalo seems to be closing very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah. I think it's like Burrow said himself. I think it's the same with the Bills. I think as long as they've got Allen, I think the window never fully closes. But I worry that the Bengals are a better organisation at the moment than the Bills. And, I mean, it's just, I think the Bills, the Bengals were so fired up about the Bills game, like selling the tickets beforehand. They wanted to get here. I hope it's not like after the Lord Mayor's show for them, but I think it's just too close. I don't know. I'm going to get the Bengals, but I'm going by vibes.
This could be another 10-7, couldn't it?
No.
No, I think this could be...
This is 40-42. I think this goes completely the other way. This is a shootout.
I see both of these D lines going absolutely batshit mental.
You look at these four teams and the odds of them outright betting for Super Bowl based on Paddy Power's odds right now. Eagles 9-4, Chiefs 5-2, Bengals 5-2, 49ers 3-1.
It's too close to call, isn't it?
I've never seen
that. Is just any of them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you work it out on percentages, and it's like one of them might have 26% chance of winning, but the rest are right there. Like we said before we started recording, you can make an argument for every single one of all four of these teams winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and it'd be difficult to argue against you. The only argument against you is, but what about? And you name the next team. Yeah. And then you go on to that argument about why the next team's going to win the Super Bowl.
The Bengals don't win Super Bowls.
No, but they got the Eagles didn't win Super Bowls, and then they went and won one. You know.
Cold out there, isn't it?
It is cold. It is. Sorry, we had to let the dog out, and it's fucking freezing. I think on this one, I think it's so close. I'm just going to go with vibes, and I got a sort of Bengalsy vibe.
You're nearly you're a 40-year-old man. You can't do anything on vibes.
You have a Bengalsy vibe.
I have to go with the Chiefs.
You're stuck in your opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Chiefs purely because it's in Kansas.
Yes.
I didn't even think of that.
I think that's one of those stadiums which is just very hard to go to and play.
And you're forgetting they have the Tactics Walrus.
They do have the Tactics Walrus.
Yeah.
And it would be so strange that they were so close to being beaten by the Ravens, who were the worst team in the playoffs. And then get to the Super Bowl, but I'm still going to go with them.
Such is life.
All right. Matchups.
Let's get on to the four teams that got knocked out. I posted this on Twitter earlier today. Out of those four teams, Cowboys, Bills, Jaguars, and the New York Giants, which one has got the most to do in the offseason to get back into the playoffs and be competitive?
I think we've sort of
touched
a little bit. But yeah, I do think the Bills have quite a bit to do. I think this was their window as a sort of pre-packaged Super Bowl challenging team, and they've missed out, and it needs some work doing. Because the Jags. Let's go through it team by team.
Yeah,
I think the Jags. I think the trend line is up. Like Lawrence is no longer a, the potential and everything. I think he's proved it. When he is a leading quarterback now.
Yep.
Ignoring his first half against the thing, but
he came back from it though.
Came back, the Giants never expected to be here in the first place. Everything since that Commanders draw has been a complete win.
Yeah. I think you think about the Jags and the Giants, and both of them should be on 4 to 5 year programs.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, great that we're in the playoffs this time, but we're looking more towards that fourth year. That's the year I think that if everything goes to plan, that both teams will be thinking. Had a number of drafts, number of free agency windows, developed a number of players. That's the time when we should be really competing.
Yeah, and
the thing that scares me with the Jags is their cap position.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jags are I know I'm on overthecap.com, which I love. they're effectively 24 million over cap. You can't build that team. And also, you've still got Lawrence on his rookie contract, haven't you?
Yeah, for another 3 years.
Another 3 years.
Oh, another 3 years. Fair enough.
I mean, admittedly, the 5th year is massive.
Yeah.
But it's not as big as when he's on a proper contract.
They're still not a fashionable team. They're not a desirable team.
Nope.
Nobody wants, like, I'm going to join the NFL and I'm going to get that Jacksonville contract.
You pay the Jags premium to get Christian Kirk
Christian
there.
Kirk is the prime example, yeah.
For a team that they're not in cap hell. Hey, they're not the Saints. Again.
Why? How?
58 million over cap.
Well, they just batted it down the line, didn't they? That's effectively.
At some point, that has to stop, right?
Yeah.
Future Saints will pay for this.
Are they hoping that they'll basically, because they're hoping that they'll get a cap pick, a first round pick for Peyton?
Yep.
And they're basically at that point they'll just like clear house. Let's build again. But
God knows. But
like anyway, that's
with the Jags, you take the positions of all the other teams that have been knocked out. They're in a. I think you don't have the room for maneuver you think based on their cap space.
No, but
if there's one area of the Jags I would probably, definitely look to improve, it'd be the offensive line.
Yes.
I think they've got, you think about 4 of the key positions that you want to try and fulfill: quarterback, left tackle, you want a pass rusher, and you probably want a lockdown corner. They've got a quarterback. They've got 2 good pass rushers, Josh Allen and Trevon Walker. Filling that left tackle position, I think that's the one I'd be going after.
they've got Cam Robinson.
Yeah.
Who is serviceable.
Yeah.
He is.
So that's an expensive
But
serviceable.
he's expensive.
He's on the franchise tag, I believe, potentially. Maybe not.
I think they re-signed him.
Yeah.
Um,
Taylor's their right tackle, who is a free agent this year. So, yeah, and I don't think they've got a cornerback who, God, you think if you had Jalen Ramsey back?
Yeah, I mean, but have to remember as well, the cap isn't real. Like
It's fair, yeah.
like
the Giants bought in like 15 players when they had 900 grand of cap space.
exactly like
But all minimums. I mean, it's good. It's good jamming. You look at their free agents.
All of them.
All of them, yeah. But lots of kind of, I guess, bit part players like Richie James, Tony Jefferson, the safety, other players like Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Matt Breida. None of these are big. No, the 2 big ones that obviously stand out, Barkley and Daniel Jones. Something needs to be figured out there. I still think you can get Daniel Jones on a relatively cheap contract.
I'd be worried if it came close to the franchise tag, which I think is like 35 million.
Yeah.
I don't like. I like Daniel Jones. He's turned me around. He's not worth $35 million dollars a year. And I'd much rather we went after Jimmy G or someone. If that was the case, I'd rather.
If we were spending 35 million, I'd rather spend it on something more established.
Well, if you're spending 35 million, I'd want.
I mean, but this is the key difference, I suppose. When you look at the Jags, their quarterback's secure. The quarterback for the future is secure. The running back for the future is secure. The wideouts are assured. When you say the free agents for the Giants are their wideout room,
Yeah.
there's
There's not many good wideouts in free agency as well. There are quite a few in the draft, so there's a possibility there. It's 32 million for the first year franchise tag for quarterback. But I think
not worth it.
if you're Daniel Jones, are you seriously? Do you seriously think that you can get a starting position anywhere else other than New York?
No, and as well the steps he's taken, I think hopefully he sees he's on a good thing. Like he's got a head coach, an offensive coordinator, and a quarterbacks coach who trusts him, believes him, and have made him better. Like, this is the thing. Like, the difference between good and bad coaching is stark. And he has to be fully aware of that because he spent 3-4 years under appalling coaching.
But then again, you look at it. So, in theory, the Saints will need a new quarterback. Bucks will need a new quarterback. Titans will need a new quarterback.
Yep.
Packers potentially could need a new quarterback.
Raiders,
Yep.
Jets,
Raiders,
Jets,
Panthers.
yeah,
Ravens could.
Texans.
There are Commanders.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams on the lookout for quarterbacks who could do far worse than Daniel Jones.
That's a fair point.
They could.
I'd love us to get Derek Carr. Because I
Yeah.
think he wouldn't be that expensive.
Well, he's on a contract already, isn't he? So, but I think he's got a quite friendly contract.
Yeah.
Because it's all bonuses.
So they're two teams that I'd say are on the up. We talked about the Bills. I think their championship window, Super Bowl window, might have been last year. I don't think they've been the same team this year. There's a sneaky lot of things to do for the Bills. They've got to sort out the running game. That's changes at running back, changes on the offensive line. Their linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, is a free agent. That needs replacing. Jordan Poyer, free safety, is a free agent. That will need replacing. They need another wideout. As much as I love Gabe Davis, he's not consistent enough as a number 2.
He's a really exciting option.
But he's an exciting option because Diggs is double covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd be a fantastic number 3 if they had. Giants would love him, but if they had I'm trying to think of a number 2 here, but all I can think of is Bobby Trees and Devontae Parker. After I think, but I can't think I don't know who the free agent
Van Jefferson
Van Jefferson would be fine. I mean,
Alan Robinson.
No, that's a sore subject.
Oh man, I'm really disappointed with
Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk, there's
Chris
players
Godwin.
there. Chris Godwin,
Yeah.
a Gallup, someone of Gallup's come in and get 80 yards a game,
Yeah.
6 touchdowns in the season. Fine, brilliant.
Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones.
God, that could be a sneaky good pickup for the Bills. Actually, you're right.
Yeah, they're players there, but
I'd say the other big thing for me for the Bills, and they did try to address it, and they unfortunately got injured, is sorting out the pass rush. If Von Miller comes back, and I think that's a fairly big if he comes back at full Von, then even so they were managing his workload.
Yeah.
They need someone who's on there more consistently. I think Ed Oliver is a good defensive tackle, but he needs help from the outside. They didn't get enough, considering the Bengals' offensive line. They didn't get enough pressure on Joe Burrow this week.
I didn't realise Von was short for Vonnie.
Vonnie
Beavershawn Miller.
yeah, it's a really strange middle name, but Sean. But yeah, I love Von Miller. He's great, but he to have a full time edge rusher would be.
He's on the wrong
brilliant.
side of 30.
Yes, it was a big deal.
Yeah, it was a 6-year deal, and I think it's one of those deals you looked at. It's like that's not lasting 6 years.
I think after 3 years, it's voided.
Yeah.
So let's.
So yeah, there's sneaky a lot to do with the Bills, and same with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because Troy Pollard, we mentioned, he's a free agent. I don't think Zeke is as good without.
He needs someone to help him out,
Absolutely.
doesn't he?
Dalton Schultz is a free agent. Dante Fowler, Leighton Van Der Esch, Anthony Barr, Trayvon Mullen. And then you've got the problem with Dak. Oh, and also Brett Maher, the kicker, is a free agent and probably not coming back.
I'm pretty sure Jerry Jones is going to love exercising that release.
Yeah, see you later. And they've also, they brought in Jason Peters to play left tackle. He's like 40.
41.
So they need a left tackle. They need probably another wide receiver. I think Gallup's gone off the boil to an extent this year. Who do you get to support CeeDee Lamb? Who do you get to support to Zeke? And what do you do with Dak? He's like $45 million a year for a quarterback who...
Next year, he's $49 million.
Jesus.
Colin Coward says it best. Dak Prescott is Kirk Cousins with better PR.
Really is. It is, and
I'd take Kirk over Dak at the moment.
the thing about
You like that?
the Jason Peters pickup, like it just got worse and worse because he's so old. Like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, so he had to play left tackle, which meant that
Every single other player got shuffled.
had shuffled out position, and which was absolutely fucking ridiculous. I'm a little bit worried about. I'm not worried at all about the Cowboys. I am worried how funny it could be if it all blows up. But
If I was a Cowboys supporter, I'd be worried.
I'd be worried.
It does feel a little bit like the window's closing with them as well because, right, they've got like Micah Parsons is wonderful,
Brilliant.
Yeah,
great player. But like Leighton Van Der Esch is an injury worry.
Yep. Every year.
Trayvon Diggs is very, very good, but not as good this season as he was previously.
I think he's more of a ball hawk. I think.
yeah. He's a cheaper Minka Fitzpatrick.
Do you know what? As I said that, I knew you were going to compare him to Minka Fitzpatrick. He gets a lot of interceptions.
He does.
He's not. I wouldn't put him as a top 5 cornerback.
No, he's
And they had Byron Jones, who I thought was wonderful.
But yeah,
They've struggled to find a cornerback to play alongside him. Micah Parsons is brilliant. Not going to deny that. But Dexter Lawrence is the only other noticeable pass rusher. Not Dexter Lawrence.
DeMarcus.
Lawrence.
But he's old.
Older, yeah. Like, what do you
He's brilliant still. But
Well, he's still brilliant. He's been around. He's got tread on the tires.
Micah Parsons, I mean, he came into the league as an off-the-ball linebacker. This season, he's played mainly as defensive edge rusher. But he can't play both positions. So you've got to find quality. If they don't re-sign Van Der Esch, who do you play at linebacker?
I don't know. Jamal Adams played every position on defense for the Seahawks season before last.
yeah, they were shit. What
What
they need,
Jamal Blitz.
what they
play.
need this off season is to basically Jerry Jones needs to do big work in the world of cloning, and have basically 11 Micah Parsons. I'm sure then the defense would be fine. But
amazing.
But the offense, and the thing as well, they're in a really strange division because the Eagles aren't, unless it completely blows up, like the Eagles aren't going to get worse next year.
No.
I think the Giants could get better.
The Giants could get better. The Washington team were a win away from the playoffs as well, and I get the feeling might get better because they will get rid of the ginger excuse for a quarterback they have, both of them, and
I love the fact that they actually might just give Sam Howell a chance.
well, whoever it is,
They won't.
I
Clearly.
was going to say, the sensible thing would be to give Sam Howell the chance. I just don't think they will.
it costs them nothing to get rid of Wentz, so just take that money, give it to someone else.
They've still got 14 million of dead money anyway, which is hilarious.
Oh yeah, to Landon Collins is part of that to make our defense slightly better. McLaurin is a star and everything, but yeah, I think the Redskins, Commanders, Red Pandas, that fucking excuse for
That team who
club.
play in red, who in Landover, Maryland.
could make it really. If the Cowboys have another bad year, they could make it really awkward for themselves, and that would be hilarious.
I mean, the thing that we've got to be careful is we can't write them off because
No, they are the Cowboys.
we said Zeke was too old
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We said Dak won't come back from his leg break the same player. He's still very good.
Can be.
But
I don't blame the leg break for any of the things. I think
That's what I think.
I think it's coaching. I think the play calling is not great. I think there might be a case of if they let McCarthy stay,
Which I think they will.
I think they will.
I think the point I felt like they bought him in as a placeholder, but he actually his record has made him
good,
hard to get rid of.
First season,
the COVID year was
COVID year, but yeah,
like no one was more affected by injuries as them.
They're now 2 seasons where they're a 12-win team. That's really good.
Yeah.
When you're down to your 4th string quarterback because Dalton is injured and Ben DiNucci is injured, you have excuses.
When that guy comes in and wins 5 games,
Cooper Rush is also a free agent this year.
Yes.
Oh, good.
But yeah, no,
remember they came into this year without a backup quarterback.
Fucking hell. But yeah, there could. I mean, the thing is, I'm betting against the Cowboys here, which means I'll be wrong. But things could go wrong, and it won't take much because that is not the best parts of the team are not getting younger.
Right. Let's wrap up with the Toot Sweets Sweetest Player of the Week. I've got 2 nominations.
I'm going to go with one. I'm going to go with the Goddard one-handed catch.
That was one of mine as well. I also had the Kittle juggling catch.
That was fair, but I thought, I bet that's one of yours. I did also really love the Hayden Hurst catch and leap over the defender to do it from a tight end is always pretty fucking cool, especially one not noted for their athletic prowess as Hayden Hurst, who actually has been really good. Have you got one for us, Paul?
I find it very hard to look past that Kittle juggling catch. And him coming up looking like he'd got into a bowl of catnip afterwards. The guy's just entertainment. And for me, that just... Yes, I'm sorry, I can't give you another suggestion. I'm going for one already given.
Fair enough. I will... I'm very happy to be wrong here.
The Goddard catch was good, but that juggling catch was pretty special.
Because it's everything you shouldn't do. Yeah. You don't throw over the shoulder into traffic.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so George Kittle, Sweetest Player of the Week. Other news headlines, we touched it right at the top of the show. Bill O'Brien hired as an offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots.
Because bringing back the people from the past has worked so well this year.
Well, at least he's in the right position in terms of he is an offensive coordinator.
At least he's that's it. We'll discuss it more next week because we'll have more time and we'll have Griff.
I think the one good thing is they've actually named what he's going to be. I liked it at the beginning of this season. We're like, Bill, you've got these people. What are they going to do? I'm not telling you.
Yeah. No one would expect.
But I like the idea that maybe he's just tanking now. He's got enough to be a Hall of Fame coach a million times over.
Absolutely.
He could lose every game and still have a winning record.
I back when we first started this podcast,
when it was Bill Belichick's
world, I tried to work out how long it would take for
to match Hugh Jackson's
Bill
record.
to match Doug Marone's record, his percentage. And after he'd lost every game for 40 years, I got bored and stopped doing the math because he was still above Doug Marone.
I just like the idea, just him smoking drugs in an office and just make Matt Patricia the OC. See what happens.
It's like it seems like a Rio Ferdinand, like you've been murked sort of show, like Anton Deck in his ear going, "Come on, hey, make Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator." All right, you've been murked.
Slightly more sinister news: defensive lineman for the 49ers, Charles Omenihu, has been arrested for perceived, I think, domestic violence. Not good for the 49ers. He was injured for most of the game against the Cowboys, but you kind of think that with that and with kind of the culture that the 49ers tried to have in San Francisco, that he might be excused from playing this week until further developments. And then, all right, there's going to be three quarterback storylines, which are just going to run through the whole off season. One's Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to talk about that. One's Aaron Rodgers because he can't help but be in the news, and the other one's Tom Brady. He's come out and said he's not going back to the Bucks. Where else does he go?
The broadcast booth.
I hope so.
I mean, I hope so, because actually I quite like it. I quite like him as a personality. I know Gary hates his voice, and I can also understand that. But
he just has so much more credibility than like any other broadcaster. So here's Tony Romo, player of playoff games.
yes,
Here's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah. When you go back to the studio and it's like Boomer Esiason, you're like, who the fuck's this guy? I get the feeling his ego is so big. Plus, the thing that, like, for Rodgers, I think it's done purely by ego. I think for Brady, he has the TB12 thing. That sort of health and lifestyle brand that he's still so keen to promote. I think he'll have one more year. God, for one, I sort of hope it'd be the Raiders, because that would be fucking funny.
I'd like him to just go like full out Vegas, just like put on 30 pounds and
Yeah, like Elvis.
die on the toilet.
He's going to want to go to a contender, right? Because there's no way that he wants to go to, obviously
No.
not the rebuilding place, but I just feel like the Raiders, I don't think are going to be a contender.
No,
this
Raiders
year.
aren't going to be a
They
contender.
need too much work on the offensive line and the defense.
Yeah.
The only name that could possibly you can make sense of would be the 49ers, but now with Brock Purdy playing so well, Giants, Jets,
Pats. It keeps being mentioned.
Pats, linking up with Bill O'Brien again.
Yeah.
But then why, if you're the Pats and you've got two quarterbacks who...
You've already got a quarterback war. Why bring in that?
Anyway, that's going to be another storyline that just runs and runs and runs. We get bored of mentioning it, so I thought I'd mention it now while Gary not here to get annoyed.
It's fine. It's a good time to do it. I admire you.
He's now turned us off. He's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah.
End of the show.
Yeah.
They're talking about Tom Brady.
Oh, well, if
Should
he
we?
hasn't turned it off, I just want to say that he is starting to believe.
Oh, God, that's us fucked. Right, on that note, we will say goodnight. We will speak to you next week when we will know who our Super Bowl contenders are going to be. Good night.